Good afternoon, everyone. It's 6:03. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll start off with roll call.
Alda Benavides, present.
Anthony Uresti, present.
Esmeralda Solis, present.
Nereida Cantu, present.
Mary Hernandez, present.
Roberto Zamora, present.
And Alex Cantu, present. I do declare a quorum. Item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. And it's going to be followed by invocation. 30 seconds of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We move on to item number 5, public comments. Do we have any public comments? We have no public comments. So we move on to item number 6, approval of minutes. Item number 1, regular called meeting for July 26, 2023. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by Dr. Benavides. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Oresti. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Item number 7, superintendent's report.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, members of the community, it's a pleasure to report tonight. Nothing formal, but I'm so excited to let everyone know that we continue our work with Mo Casey. This morning, our cabinet and senior leadership team met with Dr. Greg Gibson of Mo Casey, and we continue to elaborate on our accountability scorecard and how it will align ultimately with the goals that this board will set, the refreshed vision and motto that this board will set, and we're excited to let you know that the district scorecard will be aligned with our accountability model. And so I'm very, very excited with the progress that is resonating across the region and all the way to the state office in Austin. So we are receiving some great remarks from the state level, and I couldn't be more proud and more excited than to be working with our principals, our teachers, and our senior leadership. The second note, Mr. President, members of the board, we have an exciting convocation to report about and over. Tomorrow is our beginning of initiation, our induction of a new school year. We're going to start with a convocation. We're going to start with a blessing. We're going to start with reports from everybody from our campuses and be there. We want everybody to be there at 1 o'clock. It's at the Bird Ogden Arena. It will be a packed house, and we will celebrate the way La Jolla ISD knows how. With excellence and always in the nature of being student-focused, data-driven, and results-oriented. And third and last note, we have some special guests tonight. Not only do we have Mo Casey tonight, after this board meeting, we'll go into a work session for the board. And I will have the pleasure of introducing briefly 3 of the stars in the McFarlane USA movie, Walt Disney movie called McFarlane USA. That are with us tonight. I'd like them to stand just briefly and be recognized. If you could just please stand. Thomas Valles, David Diaz, and Danny Diaz. Welcome to La Jolla ISD, to the Rio Grande Valley, all the way from California. Blessings, and we'll have a chance to hear from you later tonight. That's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. With that being said, under item number 8, discussion items, there's none. So we move on to item number 9, consent. We are pulling out under letter E, human resources, TASB policy update 120 and 121. And also under
B for bids.
B1. That would be the approval of maintenance of point sale systems of operation software suite for Child Nutrition Services Department. So those items will be pulled out, and then I'll take a vote on consent agenda.
I have an item C2, sir.
C2, those are 3 items now, though. Under business and finance?
Yes.
Under business and finance, item number 2 as well. Okay, with that being said, I need a motion to approve.
So move.
I have a motion by Mr. Oresti. I'll take Ms. Solis second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. So then we move on to item B under bids. Approval of maintenance of point sale systems of operation software suite for Child Nutrition Services Department CSP 2023-05 extension.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Pepe Garcia will actually introduce the speaker.
Let me just have a motion to proceed, and then I'll open it up for discussion. I need a motion.
So move.
I have a motion by Ms. Solis. I'll take Ms. Hernandez second, and we open it up for discussion.
Good afternoon, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Hernandez. I just had a question on that item. I see on the rationale, there's just two categories, A and B. I just wanted an explanation onto the two categories. Is it one to approve A and B as an extension already, or?
The approval of the extension for the maintenance,
So category A is maintenance, and category B?
it's the support services, the maintenance is if any equipment malfunction needs to be replaced, they will replace it automatically. And the category B is for the backup support services, technical assistance, all of that. Oh, okay.
So if you could clarify the recommendation.
I guess recommendation B is the one I'm, just need clarification for.
Give me a minute. The category B, it's more for the support services. It's more like contractor, like, for example, we need to replace something, they will replace it. And I'm sorry, for the category A, it's the other way. It's for the support, the technical support services, 24-hour services, anything that we need to, goes wrong, that we need to have a technology department, talk to them about technical assistance and all of that. Then the category B is replacing of the equipment. If anything breaks down and all that, they will replace it instead of the district buying it.
Any other questions? With that being said, I have a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Thank you.
opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Moving on to business and finance. The second item that was pulled out is approval of quotation submitted by contractor for La Joya ISD Lorenzo de Zavala Middle School Building Restoration Services through Region 4, contract R191605. I need a motion to approve, and then we'll open it up for discussion. I need a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Solis. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Cantu. I'll open it up for discussion.
Mr. Jose Garcia will present on the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I noticed again that we have the Cotton Group back.
Yes, sir.
All right. So my question was, as I've been looking at this, is because of the variance between the submission by the three vendors.
Yes, sir.
You know, how specific are our specifications? What are they, how is it that they make these determinations that they can be so varied? Are the specs that which is in the description in column 1, is that it? Or are there other specs that they are responding to?
Those are pretty much the specs that after we did the remediation, right? However, if you see the disparity, because we noticed the same thing between like Surf Pro, Cotton, and even A&M Environmental, they went ahead, what we saw, the packet that they turned into us, they were charging, for example, if they cleaned a doorknob, there was a certain amount of time consumed by their workers equivalent to a cost. So in general, you really don't need that type of service for these type. Why? Because there is no mold, right? We had already cleared that and presented that to you all. So here's just the basic, just coming in and doing the cleaning, just like they did at Gonzalez Elementary. That's going to do the same process.
So this description is very general and it's open to interpretation. So I just noticed how are we going to make sure that the quality of services that we're getting is really what we need?
Yeah, and again, that's what was recommended by the mold consultant.
Okay.
So you really don't have to go into specifics. It's just in general, they come and do a sweep, they clean. Because remember, when the storm hit, our staff were the ones that already did most of the work. Here, they're just going to come and disinfect.
So the variance is about $300,000 difference.
Well, again, Dr. Zamora, I'm glad you're pointing that out because we're doing our due diligence. We're making sure that it's not cost, that it really we don't have to. You know, they had where they're still removing tiles when we had already done that. Our staff had already taken care of most of that big work. So it wasn't going to be feasible for us to pay for something that we had already taken care of.
Right, Dr. Zamora, allow me to submit parenthetically that under this administration, everything, and as I promised to this board, every item brought to this board in every one of our departments or educational domains will represent either a net savings or a value added. And so we're making sure, especially because this contract came up last time, so we went and did our due diligence and even worked with the attorneys to make sure, so your requests were met, and that we will follow through with the fact that maintenance facilities and the accountability within that project and the results are reviewed. But the recommendation is coming from the administration for the vote tonight.
And I have no problem with the recommendation. I'm just asking that question. And the other one is going back to what we had previously discussed about the review of the agreements prior to getting approved. Because this one again says pending review of the agreement.
Yes, because we have to bring it for your approval before we start any negotiations or talking to the attorney to check that on the contracts.
So it's coming back to you after the last time that comments were brought, right?
Right, but the agreement we have has not been brought to the board at this time.
No, because we're just bringing the approval of the to contract
Right,
with them.
and one time previously with, I think it was with Gonzalez Elementary, we had a vendor that did not agree to those points that we were making to include in that agreement.
Yes, that was the architect.
That's my,
Yes, sir.
my question for asking that, and just again to emphasizing that it would be good to have those agreements reviewed prior to bringing them for approval.
Absolutely, and that's something that legal did recommend. So we do send before those addendums to these companies to ensure that if they're going to go through the process, they're going to have to abide by whatever La Jolla ISD requires.
Yeah, because otherwise you're delaying the project again until the next board
And
meeting.
yes, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
That's what I was going to mention. Maybe if we need to do our part and maybe have special meetings, especially for projects like this that are time sensitive, then we need to do our part and move faster on our end. And you all can just we can schedule them faster. That way we won't delay any more of these projects like Gonzalez and Zavala and stuff like that. So you'll have our support. Just if we need to move faster on our end, just recommend it and we'll do it.
And legal did, if you may, Mr. Munoz, he did address that because it was a recommendation that you all brought up. And that's the first thing we did is we send those particular documents for them to see that this is the terms and conditions we're going to engage in. And if not, well, we're not going to do business with them, so we'll just go on to the next one. So we do that first.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Also under Business and Finance, item number 9, approval to set the date, time, and place for the public meeting to discuss the 2023-2024 budget and 2023 proposed tax rate. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Solis. I need a second.
Second.
A second by Dr. Benavides. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Under letter E, Human Resources, we pulled this one out of consent. It's TASB Policy Update 120 and 121. I need a motion to approve, and then we'll open it up for discussion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Solis. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Oresti. I'll open it up for discussion. Any questions, concerns?
Can you give us like a summary of what has changed?
Yes, ma'am. In the overview that you all have, the changes are under the Texas Administrative Code, legislative and regulatory changes. Under Update 120, there is some language changes for the emergency plan, that there has now to be something in place for multi-hazard emergency operations to include responding to any type of train derailment. If there is train tracks within 1,000 yards of school district facilities. There's also changes in student rights and responsibilities under student and parent grievances, where there are some changes that clarify special education complaints and how they're addressed. So those are changes to local policies that will be updated. And also under student discipline it clarifies circumstances as to when restraints can be used. Under policy 121, the changes are more to be aligned with amended guidelines with implementation on fixed assets. It's a GASB implementation guidebook, and I'm sure business and finance would know what that GASB stands for. There's also integrated pest control, where there's an amendment to the administrative code that requires districts, if they own residential property among the district facilities, that they need to post some notices as well. There's changes on competitive bidding, and also sealed proposals that authorizes the superintendent to delegate responsibilities to other employees as the district allows and is permitted by law. And those are the major changes on there. There was one more on compensation plans. Recommendation for us to change language from bi-monthly to semi-monthly pay, so that way to avoid confusion, but we had already done that within our handbook and within our policies. So those are some of the major changes that occurred within these policies. And the legal ones are ones that we need to follow, so our local ones are more aligned to the law with the changes that TASB recommends.
Any other questions?
Since there's so many revised policies, and Gloria, you did a good job on those that you told us, could we just adopt this as a first, or approve this as a first reading, and then have time to see if there's any questions that we have on any specific local, the legal, I know it's
Yeah,
like
just on
that,
the
but
local.
just the local?
I
so
don't see a
that-
problem with that because we actually have a board meeting actually later this month, so it would flow right into next meeting.
We can have a work session.
Yes, like,
and-
yeah, just on this, and then in case we have any, because I was noticing on page 1 and 2 of the TASB localized policy, that there's a lot of revised policy.
Yeah.
And I know that as board members, that's our major role, is to establish policy.
Or we can, now's the time to even change
Yes,
or.
yeah. Or at least to understand it.
Understand it more.
Yeah.
Well, we do not have an election that is upcoming in November. I think that the last time we had an election, we discussed the majority versus plurality votes in terms of how, what it takes to get elected. And I noticed that we do have a policy BA related to elections. Perhaps at some point we can address that as a board to see what it is that we want to do.
Yeah.
Whether we want to keep it the way it is or whether we want to
Want to
change it.
Now's the time. That'll work. So then we can.
Table it as a first reading.
We can, legal, can you provide us with a motion?
Just amend,
New motion?
amend
It
the
would be a
motion.
first reading of the policy.
On this item here?
To be
this
brought
item,
back by next board meeting.
Just amend, to amend the motion.
Was there a motion already made?
That was a
Yes.
very motion to approve. Well, that's,
Motion
we
to
open it
approve.
up for discussion.
So if you'd like to amend your motion, who made the motion?
Ms. Solis.
Ms. Solis, do you have any objections to amending your motion to it being a first reading and the item being brought back for a second and final reading?
I'm good.
No objections to that?
Objections.
And who made the second?
I did.
And any objections to that amendment?
I'm good.
So then a motion will be amended, and then I need a new motion to approve with the amendments that we discussed right now.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Solis, and then a second by Ms. Hernandez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President, and members of the board, before we go on, though, there is one little issue, not on this item, not related to this item.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
On item C4 that was previously
Yes.
motioned by Mr. Ureste and seconded by Ms. Solis, C4 is a typographical error. Nothing changes on the substance of the motion, but the application for payment was for an architect, not an engineer. Everything else is the same. The backup is correct, that information you received as a board is correct. It's just the status payment and nothing new is being awarded. So we just wanted to clarify that for the minutes and to see if there was any objection from either Mr. Ureste or Ms. Solis to amend their motion.
Do we need to do a new, can we go back to it, or it's just, we're just clarifying that it's architect and not engineering?
Correct.
Okay, for the minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no objections.
Okay, with that being said, I need a motion to go into executive session under Texas Government Code Section 551.074, 551.072, and 551.071. I need a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Dr. Cantu,
Second.
a second by Ms. Solis. It is 6:22. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is 6:22. We go into executive session. It is 7:14 and we're out of executive session. Under letter H, I need a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I would need a motion to approve as discussed in executive session,
So moved. On items 1 through 5, you said?
1 through 5. Right, legal? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
You
I have a motion by
On
Ms.
that's
Solis.
H, sir?
Under
Can we-
H, yes. and
Can we
out of
take the personnel one at a time? 1, 2, 3, 4, and, because 4 and 5 are not,
Well, there's no action on 4 and 5, right?
There's been a motion already on items 1 through 5 as discussed in
There's a
executive
motion, and I need a second to approve.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
On item number 1 for professional personnel, since we're taking care of positions that have been created, I'm voting a nay on the student attendance accountability coordinator.
I'll second that.
and I'll also cast a nay.
I'm gonna abstain my vote for student attendance accountability coordinator.
Okay, if those are the only objections that you all have,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that means everything passes, and the item on that position dies, right? We'll bring it back for the next meeting. Okay, with that being said, everything else passes, just that item on that position, we'll bring it back for the next one. It dies. I need a motion to adjourn. It's 7:16. Need a motion to adjourn? I have a motion by Ms. Solis. I need a second.
Second.
A second by Dr. Cantu. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. It's 7:16. Meeting is adjourned.